Craig Adams here from weddingfilmschool.com, and today I'm going to go over my story. So I've had some people comment and email and kind of ask where and what I've done in the past, so I guess I'll kind of just start from the beginning. So I was raised and grew up in upstate New York, which is up near Rochester and not Westchester, as a lot of New York City people think and always tell me, which is crazy. So yeah, I was in the Finger Lakes in a town called Bloomfield in Canandaigua, and came from a big family, 2 brothers, 2 sisters, so 7 of us total, with dogs and cats and 4-wheelers and tree forts and all that stuff. So my mom babysat, so we always had a bunch of kids running around and a lot of friends to play with. And it was fun, you know, I liked it. Played a lot of sports in high school, baseball, soccer, track, everything, you know. I was always playing some kind of sports. Played music, played trombone, and then I had to pick between sports and music, and I picked sports. In middle school, I kind of started, you know, playing with video cameras a little bit. I actually started out not shooting and directing my own stuff. I had this older brother named Kenneth, and he was the person who would actually run the cameras, and I would be the person that would act. So we would make like guerrilla films, like hide and go seek, like trying to find a puzzle or a puzzle piece, and like all these crazy things with this little, you know, camera. And it was this one film where we built this like this medieval siege weapon called a ballista, and it would like shoot spears. And I made this little video with this camera of all this footage of like us building and shooting it, and then I took it into Windows Movie Maker on a PC and cut like a 25-minute movie with it, and I made everyone in my family sit down and watch it. And it was boring as hell. And I remember like watching, and like there were some cool parts, but then like people would start to like lose interest, and that was like so fascinating to me. So then I like went back to the edit, I like cut it up, made like a 10-minute version, and then reshowed everyone again. And I just like that back and forth. Like I made a 2-minute version after that, but like just seeing how the different edits affected people as they watched was, you know, really fascinating to me. And I started like going through and like testing different effects and transitions just to see what worked and what didn't. And yeah, Windows Movie Maker was really cool to me. It wasn't until like later in middle school that I bought like this little Japanese like pocket video camera, and it was like 720p, and it had like the worst like autofocus. It would like make a noise when it focused, and it would be like it was just like crazy. But I thought it was so cool. It had a little flip out screen, and I thought it was like a total filmmaker at that point. So I made like these little like soccer, like tons of little angles, like short films, and all of these different like just crazy random stuff with my friends, and ever so often like the school project. So like projects for my French class and English class and history class. I started to be known in high school as like the guy with the video camera shooting all these projects, and like everyone watching and laughing with them in class, and me being at all the basketball games and shooting all of that and then posting it on Facebook the next day. So that was fun, you know. In middle school, I also had a job like working for my dad as an electrician. So he would do like commercial and industrial like jobs, and I would install outlets and run cables and install fire alarms and like do grid lighting and like huge warehouses and run the lifts and stuff. So that was kind of like, that kind of, you know, has a lot to do with filmmaking and being technical and working crew. So that was interesting. I also had a job as a lifeguard at a water park, which is super boring. I don't know if you've ever done that, but you just get like the worst tans. So we would have to wear like this, like we had to wear like these bands, and like you would have the band, like the sunglass tans. So like I would be super tan, but I would have like just the worst like visor tans or whatever. So yeah, I did that for 2 years. And then in high school, I kind of started to do more architectural drafting. So when I was little, I loved drawing. I drew a lot of houses and buildings. And when Harry Potter came out, like I read all those books and watched all the movies, and I started drawing like all these castles and stuff. That was like such a big thing to me. I loved Legos and Connects and like blocks and army men. I was super into building and designing, like laying out the perfect castle dimensions and all that stuff. So I did a lot of CNC, AutoCAD, a lot of that stuff in high school. I thought I was going to be an engineer, an architect, that kind of stuff. So that's kind of what I was gearing towards. The filmmaking was kind of still a hobby in high school. I did buy a better camera though. I bought like a Sony HC9 HDR8 HC9, and it was like jet black and like HD with HDV tapes, and it was like so legit. It was like $1,000. That was a big purchase, but I started shooting way more, like shooting all these crazy like music videos, and just I pretty much had it wherever I went. I got Sony Vegas, and I would edit and export in Sony Vegas. I remember that. That didn't last very long. I quickly moved to Final Cut Express once I finally got a MacBook, my senior year of high school. So that was when I was like, cool, I like editing. I need something that can do that. So it was towards the end of my high school senior year that, I realized that filmmaking could be a career and that I could go to college for that and I could totally do that. So I was like, all right, that's what I'm doing. 110% going for that. So I applied to a bunch of different colleges all over New York. It was either RIT at Rochester or Buffalo State, and I went to Buff State. Their television and film arts program took like 15 people a year, so I got into that. So that was more for like writers, producers, directors. But I was like this DP. I was like an equipment guy, the guy with the camera gear and like shooting, camera hopping, and doing stuff like that. So I bought my own gear, I rented stuff, and then I was like the guy who shot the films. So like, of course in our classes we had to direct and write and produce and do all that stuff, but like I was the person who would like make a deal with the teacher so that I didn't have to direct or write my own stuff. I could just DP everyone's film in the class, and I loved that. We kind of made our own special roles, and that was mine. So college was good. Liberal arts, we did a bunch of different like crazy stupid classes, but I really loved shooting. So I found that the best shooting was like on my own. So of course I would shoot for other people's projects in class, but I started my own club on campus called the Filmmaker Club, and we would just meet. We would find projects to shoot, and then we would go shoot them. Or we would do like workshops. I would teach some things. I would teach people how to shoot their films. And it was super fun. That was like the beginning of Wedding Film School. I would shoot videos and tutorials and put them online. And even before that, day one I got to college, I would shoot video blogs about what it was like to go to Buffalo State, to be a television and film arts major. And I made like tour videos and just like really showed what life was like at college at Buffalo State, just because when I was searching for colleges I couldn't find anything like that, and that's like what I would want. They had like websites with like all these descriptions and like reviews from students, like I loved the college, but like I wanted like video of someone there. So I saw a demand, so I started shooting that. So College Video Student was my YouTube channel, and that got a lot of traction. The college started to notice, all of the likes and comments and sharing for that. So they hired me to shoot videos for their college to promote like just the campus and the college. So I shot like, what are classes like? I shot a video for that. And I shot like, what's the food like? What are dorms like? What is parking like? All this stuff. So that was fun, getting paid to shoot like that. I started shooting weddings in college as well, and the referrals just kept coming in, so I would go back to Rochester, and I got a couple in Buffalo. And then I also had a graphic design job for the college where I would design in Photoshop all of their t-shirts and posters for events, and like a lot of web content. You know, I'd also do some photography and video for them as well. And yeah, I was doing that for like 2 years. So I would say halfway through college, I got a new camera, which was a Sony AX2000. So that was like a $4,000 like camcorder brick, and it was like, I thought it was the coolest thing. I was like, check out my camera, I'm a professional. And XLR inputs, like, so stupid. And about a year after that, you know, I was shooting that and like doing whatever. That's when DSLRs came out, and I remember seeing the 5D Mark IIs and like Philip Bloom's thing online and being like, okay, like kind of cool. And then people started getting 60Ds and like 7Ds like around me, like friends and people. And I was just blown away by like the quality, and decided to get my own. And the first time I used it was my brother's wedding, and I had no idea what I was doing. Like it's like really shaky. So like I think I was like had the strap, and I was like hand holding a 50 with like the crop, so it's like an 85. So it's like hand holding an 85 for an entire wedding, like super shaky. But yeah, that really was interesting to me, like the amount of control that I had and like all these super cool things that I could do, and it just looked beautiful. So that was the start of DSLRs for me, and we shot a bunch of college videos with those. Like I got the whole college and everyone on board for that. You know, our college bought a 5D Mark III kit with all these lenses for us to rent and use, and we just shot a ton of parodies and like mockumentaries and stupid things, and I did a lot of promo videos for the college, and you know, just shooting every day, editing every day, just doing a ton of stuff. So like I was the video guy, just, you know, doing stuff for the college. So the spring of my junior year, I went to New York City to intern for a internship with MTV and Viacom in Times Square. So that was new. I'd been to New York City, but I'd never like lived there. So I got a sublet in Brooklyn and did the whole commuting to Times Square thing, which I don't recommend to anyone. I would pass the same like give me weed guy with the sign like every day, and he'd be like, can you like give me money for weed? I'm like, dude, I saw you yesterday and the day before that and the day before that. Like, learn my face, stop asking me, I'm not a tourist. So that wasn't for me, the whole Viacom large company thing. I realized that like I was just super bored and not engaged and challenged, like just doing stupid things. Like I understand, like I could have done things differently, but like I was more interested in making new logos and finding work and answering emails for my own companies in between jobs while working at MTV, like secretly. So I just realized that, you know, I was going to finish it, but it just wasn't for me. So after my internship, I had to go back to Buff State to finish up, to graduate a semester. So I didn't like the internship, but I fell in love with New York City. So I knew at that point, like, I just had to get back to the city. So I went back to Buff State, finished up, graduated as quickly as possible, and then came back to Brooklyn. And I've been here ever since. I love this city. You know, it's just really fast paced. It's a city full of competitive people. It's just always something new to do. There are a lot of creatives in Brooklyn, and I've got some good friends here, and I've got a lot of work here, you know. But yeah, so the last 6 months have just been, well, the past 2 years have just been establishing a good base for everything that I do. Once I got back to New York City, that's when I, you know, I had this big decision. So I could either go the route of the entrepreneur and do my own thing, which I knew that was it, you know, in the back of my mind. Or do I kind of, like, I felt this need to kind of satisfy people's image of what it was to be like in New York City. So like when you come to the city, it's like, I commute to Manhattan every day, 9 to 5, and like I'm on the train and I go here and I work at this big company and then I go home. So like that's kind of like what I felt like I was supposed to do. So I applied for this pretty good position. You know, it was a salary, it was benefits, it was like what I was supposed to have as a media director at a talent agency, and it was a pretty big company. You know, pretty big in the world for talent. It was like representing authors and movie stars and all these people. So I went through a ton of interviews. I did everything correctly. I met with the CEO. He loved me, and they sent me a contract to sign up for a full-time position. And I just wasn't feeling it. And I remember this very particular dinner at a diner off of Union Square with some of my best friends here. And I remember just describing to them what everything was going to be like with this job, and they just didn't get it. They were like, Craig, why are you doing this? Like, this isn't you. And I'm like, yeah, I totally agree. I just had to have someone say it to me. So I wrote them back. I told them, like, I'm sorry I wasted your time, which was terrible. I shouldn't have done that. And I declined the offer. And from that moment on, I was like, it's Craig time, no more bosses. Let's do this. I'm going to hustle and do my thing. So I established OpenSea as my video commercial. I established Wedding Film School as my education. I moved Cadams Media to be my overarching company to hold all these brands. And then I established Emissary as my wedding studio. And these were good bases and to build off of and expand and shoot for. And this past 6 months have just been really finding out what I want to do. You know, really analyzing myself, what I want my future to be, what works, what doesn't. A lot of reading, a lot of listening to podcasts, a lot of listening to people's advice, talking and chatting with other people who have been through this kind of situation. And I'm 24 right now, and I feel like, this transition to 25 is so important. I am not young anymore. Like, I remember being that kid. Like, that's what everyone would just say. Like, oh my God, he's 18 and he's shooting a wedding. Like, oh wow, he's like doing this thing. He's flying to New York City to shoot this thing, but like, not anymore. It's not an excuse. I want to really carve out what I want to do and the lifestyle. I redefined what it is to be successful, and I have a plan to attack and make that happen. So freedom to do what I want, when I want, where I want. That's all I want. So a lot of that is focusing on what's important and making that a priority, and then pushing the other things away. Creating a lifestyle that works and making it easy on my path to happiness. So a lot of that comes down to being a minimalist. So the past 6 months have been this reaffirming, plan to be as simple and as present and as minimal as possible. I need to get rid of things. I need to be able to move wherever I want. Just making every single system of what I do as simple and straightforward as possible. All my websites streamlined, finished, how I communicate to clients, how I accept money, how I deal with money. I want everything to be as simple as possible. My dream, literally, is to be able to live out of a backpack, go wherever I want, do whatever I want, and just follow and chase whatever crazy idea. Because I've got a new idea every month. It's sometimes hard to finish them, but that's what I want. I don't have to do anything. I just want to live by whatever I want to do. So yeah, I'm really excited. I've a lot of time to work. I have a lot of ideas, and I'm really happy. I feel good. So, cool. I think that's it. So, Normally, you know, this conversation is kind of like technical based and wedding filmmaking, but if you have any comments about my personal life, like what I do, how I got here, if you've been through anything that kind of you can relate to like what I've talked about and what I've done, I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to chat on the interwebs below here in the comment section and kind of talk with you. You know, what's on your mind? What's next for you guys? So yeah, thanks for watching. See ya.